Morning, class. Today we're going to be talking about imperialism. Now, before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and pass out this entry ticket. Now, the definition that's on your entry ticket is about imperialism. The definition is the practice of a strong country exerting its influence over a weaker country to the extent that the weaker country's economics, culture, politics are usually changed for better or for worse, usually by force from the stronger country. Now, on your entry ticket, I'm going to have you describe 2 examples of when imperialism occurred in the world. Now, think of our past units we have gone over so far and tell me some examples of imperialism that you have seen that you can use for your entry ticket. One good example could be the fact that in our last section, we went over how Napoleon Bonaparte in the French Revolution invaded Austria. That could be considered an imperialistic control. We will be talking about imperialism today. Our objectives today is that I'm going to have you guys describe 3 pros and 3 cons that shape Africa in a discussion web graphic organizer. We are going to try to master part of our standard in describing motives and major events, extent and effects of European and American imperialism in Africa, Asia, and in the Americas. Now then, the 2 main countries we're going to talk about today is Great Britain and France. These are the big dogs on campus when it comes to imperialism in Africa. Africa has a long history of multiple foreign powers impending their imperialistics on Africa's lands. A lot of Africa's culture and influences are due to the multiple foreign powers, but we're going to concentrate today's lesson on England and France. Imperialism is misunderstood to a point where the presence of a foreign country's imperialism is always bad. Well, that's not really true. Today's world, if an invading army comes, that's bad. However, back in this time, when an invading power comes to the weaker power, it's not always a bad thing. Put yourself in one of the African communities back then, like St. Domingo or South Africa. You have very little food, you don't have much fresh water, your technology is non-existent, and you have very little medicine that can help you fight off deadly diseases. Well, a lot of that can change when England and France decide to show up and provide everything you wanted. Now then, this map is a prime example of the many foreign powers that controlled Africa. You can see that France is in blue, big chunk, and a little bit of chunk on the side. And then Britain is in pink. They pretty much got their hands on South Africa, parts of Egypt, kind of going toward the Middle East. And then you can see that you have Portugal, Germany, Belgium, Spain, and Italy also have their hands in this cookie jar of trying to get resources from Africa. Great Britain ups and downs. The biggest impact England has on Africa is trade. That is the big thing for them, is trade. They also brought new technologies such as large ships, guns, water, and different kinds of food. They also brought new techniques that would help them grow new crops and new ways to cultivate the land to produce more food. England is a cold place. Most of the time it's colder. It's not like Louisiana. We're a hot place here. You know, you can just walk to your mailbox and you're just full of sweat. Africa is the same. It's a hot place. But there are places in Africa, as well as there's places in America, which do get cold. Well, Africans did not have a good concept of root vegetables, which England monopolized on cultivating. So when they brought that in, that gave them a new source of being able to cultivate the land, of bringing new food sources into Africa. However, in 1688, the Dutch William of Orange, along with his wife Mary, when they decided to succeed the throne, they became a joint monarch of England, and they decided to expand on the slave trade in England. They basically quadrupled whatever was there. They just expanded it overnight into super huge, super big. It's bad that the fact that they had to expand on the slave trade, but it is a big money maker. Money during this time makes the world go round. That's just how it is. They also decided to levy all taxes for English merchants, as well as capturing new slaves for transport, which brought a huge amount of income to their economy. It's all about the almighty dollar for Britain at this time. They want to make as much money as they can, because if they have more money, then they can build whatever they want with it. Period. Now, we're going to talk about France a little bit. The country of France mainly prioritized resources when they came to Africa. They just came out of a war with the Prussians, which is basically today's Ukraine. They just came out of a Great Depression of around 1860, so they were lacking in funds. They were lacking in resources. So when they showed up to Africa, they brought all their toys, just like Brits. They brought food and water and medicine and guns and technology to help them cultivate the land. Shiny new things, but what they really wanted was resources. They wanted timber, they wanted gold, diamonds, food. They wanted to be able to cultivate it themselves and ship it back to France. They were interested in economic gaining of their country of France by impeding their imperialistic rule over parts of Africa. They give them shiny new toys for them to work and bring their gain. Now, with all that, the secondary motive that France really pushed into Africa was they wanted to kick Britain from trying to get any bigger than they are now. Britain's the king of the seas right now. They're big, they're bad, but so France was like, we need to stop them. So they hire bandits, pirates. They go and they'd have, like Pirates of the Caribbean. They have Captain Jack Sparrow go in there and attack the British sailors, stop them from bringing their exports back to England. Or they would confiscate it, give half of it to France, and they take the other half, and then they go back out and pillage some more. That's where we're at right now in the world during this time period. France's biggest thing they brought was new medicine. Medicine at this time was super big. You could kill more people with the disease than you can with guns and ammo during this time. Genocide could happen from a common cold, but unfortunately, France brought things that can help them fight the common cold, which didn't happen in genocide. All right, now we're going to go ahead and have you guys break up into groups of 5, so I can go ahead and pass out our discussion web graphic organizer. Go ahead and pass these out for you guys. All right, for the central question that I'm going to have you guys write is all imperialism bad? I'm going to have you put in bullet form, give me 3 pros and 3 cons. Now, when you get to your conclusion, I'm going to have you and in your groups write me a small paragraph combining your pros and your cons. Now, I will give you an example of one pro could be having a strong country's imperialism will create trade, which comes with a lot of new commerce. Basically, money, money, more money. One con could be that imperialist countries can bring more harm than good. Not all countries were treated equally. Some were treated very unfairly, but it's okay. Some were treated good, some were treated bad. That's just how it worked. Now then, we'll go ahead and skip into our exit ticket. What I'm going to have you guys do is get a fresh sheet of paper out. I'm going to have you put your name at the top, put the date, and in the middle I'm going to have you write exit ticket. Also, go ahead and write this as well. It says, please list one positive and one negative. Contribution from the imperialism of Africa. You can either take it from your graphic organizer, or you can give me something new. But I need one positive and one negative. I'll have you guys fill that out and turn that in before you leave for class today.